What do you want to know? So, as a sort of thought experiment, imagine that you could talk to an all knowing being. Whether this is like your idea of God or some sort of alien or some sort of technology or whatever it is. But you can only ask it three questions. And, you know, you had a little time to prepare before this meeting. And you don't want to regret missing the opportunity to ask the best questions. Okay, and the more you think about this, the more it appears to be very difficult to actually be able to really choose the most important questions that you only can ask once, and you only have three, and that's it. I mean, like without much thought, maybe somebody who's kind of materialistic or maybe struggling a lot, they might want to ask, what is the best way to make a bunch of money? Right? Or they might want to ask something like, um, how do I find a happy, amazing partner in life? Or it could be, how do I lose weight? What's the easiest way? These are pretty simple, kind of low consciousness questions, um, and they might leave you feeling a little unsatisfied and with regret. So, if we think a little harder about it, and we already reflect on the fact that some of these first questions that popped up are a little bit low consciousness, and maybe there's something deeper and better, then we might start to dig a little deeper inside ourselves, and we might wonder, you know, what's the key to happiness? Uh, you know, why is there suffering? Um, or why do we all have to die one day? These are a little bit deeper, more existential type questions, right? And then you might go a little deeper if you reflect on this even more before this meeting with this all knowing entity or being or whatever it is. And you might start to think things like, why is there something rather than nothing? Um, what is consciousness? Why am I here? Um, some deeper questions. Now, the point of this video is to share this thought experiment and to maybe jot down three questions yourself mentally or with a pen or keyboard or whatever, and try to narrow it down the best you can to what would be the most ultimate questions for you to answer for yourself. What would be the most satisfying? What would be the most um, what answers would be the most total to your understanding of life and yourself and the cosmos. This is something that could take a good amount of thought and contemplation. It's something you could think about, you know, for days or weeks or years, or it could be something that you work on for an hour, and you're either way you're kind of like honing in a little bit here on what really matters to you, because really a lot of times what happens is people are just kind of going with the flow of what's expected of them, and what's expected for them to think is important in life, and they're kind of indoctrinated with certain beliefs and values, and even if you're somebody who critically thinks and has a lot of integrity, you know, this is still something that maybe you haven't thought that much about for a while. And this is something that can be revised in life. You could think about this for an hour or two one day, and a year later, you can revisit it and revise it. Or you can revise it, periodically, daily, or whenever you think about it a little bit. So we're trying to hone in to very specific questions that mean a lot to you. And then what I would recommend, if you're doing personal development, if you're seeking, if you're trying to develop your understanding of life and the world, then what I would recommend is trying to find these questions, 3 or a few, doesn't have to be 3, but a small amount of very specific questions. It could even be one question that really means the most and is the most specific. But by doing this, we're really becoming conscious of what we really want in life, what we really want to understand. And then when you find those things, you now have a much more, specific direction to start looking in. If you have these vague, nebulous ideas of things that you want to learn about or understand, but you don't even know where they're stemming from, what's the deeper desire? What's the deepest values that you hold? If we're unaware of this, or maybe we haven't become conscious of it in a while, then it's important to revisit this and to revise this as we go on in life. And if you boil it down to one question, it could be, what is consciousness? It could be, why is there something rather than nothing? Or is God real? Or how do I know that? How do I know I'm conscious? Or how do I know that I exist? Or how do I know that this is a dream, if this is a dream or not a dream? Whatever the deepest question that is really kind of the crux of your confusion about life, pick one of those questions or 3 of them, and that will kind of steer you in a direction that is more precise instead of kind of driving aimlessly. And then, look those things up, study them. You go online and you look up the question, what is consciousness? That's a rabbit hole. But the thing is you don't want to, it's better to go into one rabbit hole with the intention and direction than to frivolously jump into a bunch of rabbit holes and you're just kind of learn a bunch of cool little ideas that don't really connect, or they aren't very driven in a specific direction that you want to go in. So that's my recommendation. Try that thought experiment, come up with 3 or less, or just a few really important questions that you want to answer, and be open to revising this later on in life and refining it, and even be open-minded to a change entirely in priorities. Maybe what was the most pressing important thing to learn before isn't relevant anymore to you. And when you find those things, do research. Because even something as misunderstood, or something that is as mysterious as consciousness, and even though there's people out there who are, have gone to college for studying things like neuroscience or, psychology, or anything to do with physics and brain chemistry and the different studies of consciousness, whatever those might be. Even those people, you don't think that you can't learn about it, because there's a lot of people who are very smart in the sense that they've learned a lot of technical data. But if you go at it with an open mind and an intention to understand, not just to make a career or something like that, there's a lot of resources out there, and you can learn from some of the greatest people, and you can kind of do like a meta study on anything nowadays with the internet, and by picking a direction and dedicating yourself to that direction, you can really understand things much in a much deeper way than the average person, and that will yield significant results in your life and your personal development. So yeah, try that thought experiment. I highly recommend it. And if you like this video, then please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, then please subscribe. If you have anything you want to say, then please comment down below. If you know anybody who might like this, then please share it. And if you want to get notifications whenever I drop new content, then hit that little bell button. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.